There we go. We are in the Book of Giants, chapter 49. Come quite a ways. Come quite a ways. If you're watching this later and don't know, we have a Discord. There's a link to the Discord pinned in the live chat. There's a link to the Discord in the description of all the videos. Tonight, we are reading the Book of Giants. But on this same YouTube channel at Live Bible Study is where we do all the straight scriptural ancient text studies we do right now. We do Sunday nights, Thursday nights, Saturday nights, right? Yeah, Saturday night we're doing the Gospel of Truth, which is a Valentinian Gnostic gospel. And then Sunday night we are in the canon reading the book of Job. And then Thursday night is the Book of Giants. On Tuesday nights, we do a topic discussion. So this last week we did Christianity and mental health. The week prior, we did the historicity of the Gospels. Before that, the New Testament, most people don't know about, probably the first New Testament ever, which is Marcion's New Testament. And then the week before that, we talked about Gnosticism. All of that is easy to follow from Discord. There's an events page, and then you'll see, like right now, we're doing the Apocrypha. Tomorrow night, if enough people want to, we will do a game night in Discord, and then Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday with the links to their respective YouTube channel for easy following. And then if you come and you hang out for a while, then you can get on the voice channel and yell at me, because we open this up and then fair game. Happy to be told I am wrong. Just be right. Be right about me being wrong, I suppose. David, hey gang. Looking forward to a lively discussion and a fantastic chat. I love each one of you, David. Good to see you, man. It's good to see you. Hey, Ghost. Creepy Q Pie. Nobody's got it on the TikTok people's names. Their names are always the weirdest. Look, Graves is not late. Held up by his lovely clientele. Hey, Gnostic. I work 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. now. You have a normal-ish schedule. That's fantastic. That's great. How wonderful for us. You'll be here and you'll be, dare I say, early, possibly 3 o'clock. That gives you so much time to get ready for YouTube story time. What a beautiful thing. How lovely. I am going to do the poll tonight because, as usual, I have not done it yet. So we'll run a 48-hour poll. Yeah, 48-hour poll for next Tuesday. And I'll put the things that we talked about last Tuesday on it. So we can whittle down what we want to do this next week. Extra olives. I swear to God. TikTok. Who decides the names? Why don't these people exist anywhere else? I feel like I don't see names like that anywhere else on the interwebs. Jeremy Gates. Hey, I might not be able to stay long. I'm at work right now myself. Well, I'm glad you at least popped in. Sorry to hear you got to go, though. But don't get in trouble at work. That's what I always say. I suppose. Some weird stuff is, while we wait we'll wait another minute. I don't know if anybody follows like Christian news, but Andy Wood, who has a reputation of sorts, I suppose you could say, is now publicly apologizing for something he said around the inauguration, which is just kind of funny. It's always humorous to me when pastors have to issue public apologies, especially when it happens all the time. It seems like every single day pastors are issuing public apologies. And then I also found this kind of interesting. A Lutheran church in San Francisco was founded nearly 150 years ago. So you'd think traditional. No, they worship goddesses now and have a resident witch that they literally call their resident witch. The weirdness is not ceasing, I guess, is the moral of that story. Oof, 7 a.m. 7 a.m. is late. How late? I'm like ready for lunch at 7 a.m. And by ready for lunch, I mean I'm extremely tired and exhausted and not getting a second wind until like 9 a.m. Then I'm good. Y'all some farmer. I suppose, yeah, in a sense. In a sense. I don't like sleeping in past the sun rising. I feel so tired if I wake up after the sun. So tired. Gotta be up. You gotta beat the sun. It is a forever race against the sun. Chapter 49. Technically at this point, we're in Enoch with little snippets of everything else. I guess if we're being honest. Sleeping past 6 a.m. makes me feel real low about myself. Yeah, but to be fair, though, like people who stay up and work till midnight, all we're doing is moving time around a clock. That's it. I just can't physically anymore. But I used to be that way for sure. I used to be the night person. I wanted to work at night. I did my best work at night. I got more things done at night. Now, no. Now I can't. I get my best work done at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. is like peak. And then it's just downhill from there the rest of the day. The later it gets, the worse it gets. I like to pretend that's why often I struggle when we do this, because my day is over 12 hours done, but it's probably not the truth. If we're being honest, it's probably not the truth. Chapter 49. For wisdom is poured out like water, and glory will not fail before him. For he is mighty in all the secrets of righteousness, and unrighteousness shall disappear like a shadow, and will no longer exist, because the elect one stands before the Lord of spirits, and his glory is forever and ever, and his might for all generations. And I'm immediately reminded that the Lord of spirits becomes painful to say, because it's just here so many times. In him dwells the spirit of wisdom, and the spirit which gives insight, and the spirit of understanding and of might, and the spirit of those who have fallen asleep in righteousness. And he shall judge the secret things, and no one shall be able to utter a lying or idle word before him. For he is the elect one before the Lord of spirits, according to his good pleasure. And now I'm also reminded of this, and I hope I'm remembering this correctly. Near the end of last week, we were reading, and we were talking about the Lord of Spirits. And if I remember right, I'll have to rewatch it, but the text was calling the Lord of Spirits the elect, I believe. And then it switched from that to this other elect one that would be before the Lord of Spirits, like in front of, before the Lord of Spirits. It made that weird shift. I want to go back and rewatch it now, or I'll just reread it. Just a reminder, though, because I think I made a deal about that last week, because I never went back, and I will this week. I want to see why that was, what that shift was, and if it's obvious what it was, and I just missed it because I'm reading out loud, or if it wasn't so obvious. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Cat. I do hate it. It's bedtime. When I'm done here, it's bedtime. We are going to bed. And he shall judge the secret things, and no one shall be able to utter a lying or idle word before him, for he is the elect one before the Lord of spirits, according to his good pleasure. The other thing, too, is that whoever we're talking about now, the elect one, him is not capitalized, just as a fun side note. Whereas the Lord of spirits, according to his good pleasure, is capitalized. Just for fun. Just for fun. And in those days, a change shall take place for the holy and elect, and the light of days shall abide on them. And glory and honor shall turn to the holy. On the day of trouble, affliction will be heaped on the evil, and the righteous shall be victorious in the name of the Lord of spirits. For he will this to others, that they may repent and turn away from the works of their hands. They shall have no honor through the name of the Lord of spirits, but through his name they shall be saved. And the Lord of spirits will have compassion on them, for his mercy is great. All the he's capitalized. He is righteous also in his judgment and in the presence of his glory unrighteousness. Huh? He is righteous also in his judgment, and in the presence of his glory unrighteousness also shall not stand. Okay. At his judgment, the unrepentant shall perish before him. And from now on, I will have no mercy on them, says the Lord of spirits. And in those days shall the earth also give back that which has been entrusted to it. And Sheol, the grave, also shall give back that which it has received. And hell shall give back that which it owes. For in those days the elect one shall arise, and he shall choose the righteous and holy from among them. For the day has drawn near that they should be saved. Revelation 20:12. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged every man according to their works, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And whosoever was not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire. This is a good example of why I find Revelation interesting, and that's the nicest way I can say it. I feel like the incohesive nature of it, with a lot of, at least what most Christians believe, I think is really hard to rectify. And this is a good example of it, just as a total side note, and then I'll keep reading. The sections here, so, and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books, according to their works. The sea gave up the dead which were in it. These are obviously dead people who, maybe it's a range. People who have been dead for a very long time to somebody who died yesterday. And death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. So we're getting what seems to be either physical dead being brought up, or spiritual dead, or both. Death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. It's odd wording. And then they were judged, every man according to their works. This, and maybe it's just me, but I have a hard time making this sit cohesively with what most Christians believe about hell. Not me, but most Christians. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. And that would be the second death. I feel like it's not cohesive with what most Christians are taught and what most Christians believe about hell. I've always found things like this very difficult to make sense. To be fair, aren't capitalizations at the discretion of the translator? For sure. Yeah. For sure. Oh, in most scenarios, I guess. Yeah. Just to be like fair and careful. In most scenarios, yeah. And I guess depending too on what the original language was. But I think it's fair to say in most cases, yeah. So then it's a matter of why did he or she, but in this case it's a he. I'm not off until midnight tonight. Dang. That's rough go, my man. That's rough go. Hey, Ruth. Yeah, thank you. Do YouTube stuff. I love you guys because I suck at it. Back in Enoch. Now, and in those days, the elect one shall sit on his throne, and all the secrets of wisdom and counsel. Hold up, y'all. It flipped back. It flipped back. In those days, the elect one shall sit on his capitalized throne, and all the secrets of wisdom and counsel shall pour from his capitalized mouth. For the Lord of spirits hath given them to him and has glorified him. Okay, so it didn't flip, but now the capitalization is not consistent. So is it an oversight, or is there a reason for it? Because 2 pages ago, 3 chapters ago, when speaking about this elect one, because the context here through the ending of the paragraph is not the Lord of spirits. The elect one in this context is not. And 2 chapters ago, 3 chapters ago, all the he, his were lowercase. And now it is capitalized. His capitalized. His capitalized. This is going to bug me. Am I overthinking this? I don't think so.
No.
Yes.
I think it's just a mistake. Like, I think it was always supposed to be capitalized because we know who the elect one is.
Right. You think it's just an oversight on the translator?
I do. Yeah, because otherwise it's just there's no consistency.
Right. Right.
And the verse you were talking about where like the sea giving up the dead and all that, isn't that just a way for them to say no matter where you died, you're all going to the same place to be judged?
That's what people say. I don't know. It's not satisfactory to me. I feel like there's too much there, and it's like it's too different. So the section, the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. Why the differentiation then? Why wouldn't we just do and death and hell? Because death you would think would cover everything, and hell would even then cover that which is beyond the death of this reality. So then why the sea? Is there a significance to the sea
Is it
outside
some
of
of
them?
though, is it like a Hebrew redundancy where they just constantly reiterate things?
It could be. It could be. It very well
Because
could
that's
be.
kind of how I read it.
And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. It could be. So then I guess from your perspective, is this Sheol that they're talking about? Because there's argument on that.
I think death and hell are just programs. So like the function, the thing that makes us die, that won't exist anymore, whatever that is. It's a way, it's a flowery way of saying that thing won't exist. Because getting thrown into the fire means delete, in my opinion.
Do you think death itself from or within our reality, or however you want to say that, that program is a certain state, and then the lake of fire is the ceasing of even that state to exist?
Yeah, you could say
Okay.
entropy is removed from the system. That's kind of how I take it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Do you think, I guess then a follow up, do you think outside of your language, because I think it's very specific, but outside of your language, do you think that theory is what most Christians believe, or do you think it diverts from the standard belief?
No, that's big diversion. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think so.
I find
They'd look at
no,
me funny. I've talked to like mainstream Christians about that before, and they just laughed me out of the room. So I just kind of stopped.
but that's the irony of it though, is I've yet to hear, and I obviously talk to like a lot of denominations of people who believe different things in a wide range of education levels, and I've never found any cohesive nature to what Christians believe about hell at all. It's kind of all over the place. A lot of the undereducated or like normie Christians all have this very like I guess a standard like parrot of what hell is, but when pressed to any degree, completely crumble. And then the highly educated, it's no better. They're just able to express an unintelligible thought process in a more intelligent manner. I think hell is one of the things like we don't talk a lot about, and I think it's because nobody has any idea, and we want to pretend like we kind of do. I think your theory it makes sense. I think it's an interesting way to look at it.
It's
Hmm.
really the only thing that makes sense to me because, like you said, they just believe in this kind of cartoon story,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no cohesiveness to it. And there has to be. I mean, we know reality is objective and it has a way that it functions. So there has to be some kind of true mechanism for it all. But you're not going to understand that by asking them questions about it.
No, no. So, do you think we
So,
have enough information? It's just a matter of piecing it together properly. It kind of sounds like it.
yeah, I think we have enough. But I think we've always had enough. And then we gradually just follow the breadcrumbs. But as far as it actually being there and discoverable, yeah, I think it's there.
I think you'll
Just like
find
just like the cheese is in the maze somewhere for the mouse, but like he's
right.
not going to be able to snap his fingers and get there instantly. He has to trial and error it.
Have you ever read any of the non-canonical like apocryphal texts?
Yeah, most of that stuff I read like maybe 12, 15 years ago. I got to brush up. I brush up just by listening to you read this stuff.
Okay. Well, I think for maybe if your views have changed in the past 12 years on something like hell, when we and I want to do it soon, like the Apocalypse of Peter, things like that. I think it lends some credence to your concept, in my opinion.
Right? Yeah, let's run it through that filter just for fun, I guess.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting. Ruth,
But sorry for sidetracking.
no, you're good. I'm glad you did. It's much better than just reading story time. He'll burn forever in tormenting flames. Who is he? The author, for his obnoxious capitalization and consistency. It really drives me crazy. And now I feel like a numerology person, because this is stuff that hangs me up. And Ghost is probably right. It's probably an oversight on the author's part, but this is when I become numerology woo-woo, and I'm like, no, that's for a reason. What is the reason? I want to know the reason. Hey, S. Mill, it's good to see you. That's how I was raised to believe it. Yeah, Ruth, you were. I remember all the stories. You had it, you and a few other people I won't name because they're not here right now seem to have very similar upbringings with the hell concept. Tampa said, I've been in hell mentally, and a pit of fire sounds lovely in comparison. That is not good to hear. Sorry to hear that. I hope it's something that is solvable. Reincarnation is a hermeticism and many Gnostics. And many Gnostics believe in it. I think reincarnation is going to go on for next Tuesday, because that's come up a lot in the past week for whatever reason. I feel like we get these waves in the stuff that we do. I'll put reincarnation on there for sure. Layman, I think, went back and watched the one we did a long time ago. So I'll rewatch it if it wins, and maybe take notes so we can cover it in a different or more in-depth way. Many of the Gnostic texts.
Too. Is it for sure next Tuesday?
No, I want to let everybody vote. I've been on a rampage of deciding what we do, so I don't want to do that again. I'll put it on for the poll. I'm going to put the poll up after the stream tonight. But it's coming up so much, I won't be surprised if it gets chosen. So if it does, then I'll watch it at 2x speed, and if you have time, that'd be cool too. Because you were big on that.
I don't want to say like the same stuff. So
right, and you are much more into that than I am. So you have a lot more to give than I do on that for sure. Many of the Gnostic texts.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it'd be good. And S. Mill's right. A lot of Gnostic stuff leans that direction. So maybe I'll come with some of that. Elle said, I don't think if everything true is discoverable, I think that's why Jesus said there was so much more to tell, but it's the disciples and maybe humanity can't handle yet. I don't know if that applies to, that's super interesting because S. Mill just brought up Gnostics, and that is extremely Gnostic, a very Gnostic perspective. And there's a great case for it too. Do a diligent read through some of the gospel accounts, and then even some of Paul. And I don't think there's any way to argue away the idea that there were a lot of secrets being passed around, because people kept getting told, this isn't for everybody. This is for just you, says Jesus. And then Paul saying, this is not for the immature. This is just for you. There's a lot of it. So yeah, that's interesting. And you would be called Gnostic for that. But I don't think you're wrong. Leah B3. I fall asleep listening to the book of Revelation. Good God. And no matter how many times I read and hear it, I always hear and learn something new that I missed before. That doesn't surprise me at all. I think that makes a lot of sense. Lee or Leah, because I'm ignorant and I don't know the difference when it's written. What Ghost was saying, also I wonder if all writers who were inspired actually understood or grasped the words they wrote, or just wrote what they received. I think that's also a very interesting conversation. Yeah, when you especially when you bring it into like the true historicity of the accounts conversation, where you have kind of two ends of the spectrum of people who say the reason we have errors in the Bible, which we do, is because they're written by humans who were just inspired to write the words. The other side of it then is very literal, and then they have to account for it by saying, well, God did that on purpose, and there are just reasons for it. But I think there's a good conversation around the idea of, did the writers understand what they were saying, or were they just kind of puppets putting out what was downloaded to them? Were they just executing a program and not fully understanding the program? David said, I'm not sure what the lake of fire is, but I don't believe it's eternal, torturous burning. I think it's a place of purification, as I believe Christ died for the sins of all mankind. That's a hot take, David. That's a hot take. I like it, though. I think that perspective is interesting, and I've heard a lot of really good cases for it. It's a very universalism, like Christian universalism. It's much more complicated, but I think that would have to be in kind of that realm of universalism, that everybody by the end is okay. But that's a hot take in most Christian circles for sure. Maybe the Catholics have a partial truth in regards to purgatory. That's a whole nother one too. I don't think we've ever talked about that. I ought to put that on the list too. I think we talked about maybe a little bit when we talked about Sheol, but I don't think we've ever had a dedicated discussion about it. Adam Magus. Body and soul gets destroyed in the lake of fire. Body and soul. So if I understand Ghost correctly, that would adhere to his theory, because the lake of fire would be absolute deletion entirely. Ruth said, I learned that at the... Go ahead.
Hey, Joe, I would say transformed, because you can't actually delete it. It's just factory reset. So it's semantics.
But explain that more then.
Well, when you're thrown into the fire, you're transformed back to factory reset, meaning you can't destroy energy. It can only be transformed and repurposed. So, or recycled. Maybe that's where some of the reincarnation ideas come from. But as far as actual deletion, as if it's disappeared into nothingness, I don't think it works that way.
Yeah, this is when you and me get into that whole thing about, does that level of whatever is going on adhere to the same logical realities? Because I don't know about that. But I
oh, right, like physics and whatnot.
Right, exactly. But I get what you're saying though. Like if you had a device and you factory reset it, everything inside is obviously new, but the hardware doesn't change. Like it still exists. It's just not internally what it was. So I guess you said reincarnation is one possibility. What do you think another potential recycling or recycled use of the matter would be? Or do you have a theory about it?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily matter. It's just the pattern of the electrons changes. So that's what identity is. It's a particular pattern. And if, say, a Hitler, or maybe I shouldn't say that, a bad guy, say a bad guy gets thrown into the fire, his electrons, like his identity, will be wiped, but those electrons don't just disappear. They just reform into a different, they disperse. God doesn't really waste anything. It's just a big recycling machine.
Do you think they're
If that makes
intentionally...
sense.
No, it does. Do you think they're intentionally repurposed, or do you think they just naturally move into something else?
I mean, who knows? But I do think that it's just, I think, yeah, there is an intention involved, because when you wipe a phone, there's an intention behind that.
Right.
And so, yeah, you're not removing each individual electron from your data, but it does that automatically based on the pre-written program. So when we die, there is a mechanism that takes place every time that we are unaware of, but there has to be one, because things work based on design.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. That's
And even
interesting.
our thoughts are anchored to physics and stuff like that. We can't think without certain physical laws being true.
Right.
So I don't know, man.
No, that's interesting though. Okay. Lake of Fire has me hot tonight, says David. Patricia, hey. Better late than never. Good to see you. Okay. Chapter 52. And after those days, in that place where I had seen all the visions of that which is hidden, for I had been carried off in a whirlwind, and they had borne me towards the west. There my eyes saw all the secret things of heaven that shall be, a mountain of iron, and a mountain of copper, and a mountain of silver, and a mountain of gold, and a mountain of soft metal, and a mountain of lead. And I asked the angel who went with me, saying, what things are these which I have seen in secret? There's some more secret. And he said to me, all these things which you have seen shall serve the authority of his Messiah, that he may be powerful and mighty on the earth. There's a good example, though. So authority of his, capitalized, so Lord of Spirits, his Messiah. That's clear. The angel of peace answered me, saying, wait a little while, and all secret things shall be revealed to you, things which surround the Lord of Spirits. And these mountains which your eyes have seen, the mountain of iron, and the mountain of copper, and the mountain of silver, and the mountain of gold, and the mountain of soft metal, and the mountain of lead, all of these shall be like wax before a fire in the presence of the elect one. That's a visual. Like the water which streams down from above on those mountains, and they shall be weak under his feet. And it shall come to pass in those days that none shall be saved, either by gold or by silver, and none will be able to save themselves or escape. And there shall be no iron for water, no materials for breastplates. Bronze shall be of no use, tin shall be worthless, and lead shall not be desired. And all these things shall be destroyed from the face of the earth when the elect one appears before the Lord of Spirits. Chapter 53. Refining. As far as I understand it, Jeremy says, as far as I understand it, the lake of fire is a metaphor, as in eternal separation from God really burns. Right? I think that is probably the classic interpretation of it. That is like probably what is taught across the board in Christian circles and in church, is that hell is not an actual thing, really. And that kind of shifted like somewhere in the early 2000s, in my opinion. Shifted from being this actual spiritual place where the soul went to be tormented. And it shifted around the time of fire and brimstone dying and grace, grace, grace. Everything is grace. Do whatever you want. You're covered by grace. During that movement, we got this kind of new interpretation of hell where, well, the torment is just separation from God. That's what the torment is. So we went from telling people they'll be tormented literally in hell forever, making it seem to people like this was a physical place where, or a spiritually physical place, however you need to conceptualize that, where your soul would go to be tormented eternally, to, well, it's just the separation itself is the torment. That is the torment. The fact that you're not around God is the torment. And I think there's a lot of problems theologically with that aren't quite cohesive with what we believe about. If people are already separated from God, what is the actual difference? Is it that when they die, they become aware that they were wrong? They see the face of God, and now they're tormented forever. There's a whole obvious conversation there, but all that to say, yeah, I think that's probably the most common interpretation. I think that's the classic Christian interpretation. I believe it's absolutely real, Jeremy said. And yes, the torment is eternal separation. Ghost said it's definitely a metaphor, but all metaphors point towards something literal. Very true. Ghost also said, I wonder if it's God, the one who is tormented, because he lost a part of himself. Yeah, I think that's a big part of the conversation that doesn't get talked about. I think it's a big part of the conversation that doesn't get talked about. And there's a lot more to that too, actually. And some of it I was thinking about, well, Ghost and I were talking a minute ago, but I didn't want to derail us too hard. Al said, Sheol is a place, in my opinion, its most irredeemable fact is there's no path to God. Separation from God, aka hopelessness. But I think the description of torment is physical in nature. Clarify that a bit. So Sheol, I assume, is what you meant to put there, or if that's a different way of spelling it, I'm just maybe uncultured. you think it's a physical place or a literal place, spiritually physical, however you want to say it. Its most irredeemable fact is that there's no path to God. So do you equate Sheol, if that's what you meant, to hell? Are those the same thing to you? Like, is the lake of fire just another way of saying Sheol to you? Esbil said, early Indo-Europeans and later, 1000 BCE, the Hebrews believed the ashes to ashes and dust to dust. Then later, yet 100 BCE, the Pharisees believed in resurrection, while Sadducees did not. That is true. Yeah, that is true. I won't take us down a hole. But yeah, great ad. Great ad. David said, if God is totally separated from most of, and then got cut off. Come back, David. Come back. Ghost said, I definitely believe Sheol is a real place. What exactly would send someone to hell? I'm curious about the answer to that too. Ghost said, God is the eternal one, pure consciousness. When he loses one of us, we will cease to be. But God will live in torment of losing us. I'm not sure. It just occurred to me. God is the eternal one, pure consciousness. When he loses one of us, he will cease to be. So in pieces, I suppose you could say.
I mean, the person he lost will cease to be, which would put him in torment because he wants to save everyone. In the Bible, it says that, like in several places, he's waiting so long to try to just save as many as possible, but inevitably that isn't true. So whatever percentage he loses, I mean, he's going to be sad about it, right? I don't know.
You'd have to say so. I feel like, especially with everything post Old Testament. I think that really drives
if his intention is to save us and then he doesn't, that's going to cause some kind of dissonance, which is getting into the redeeming quality. I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know. I got to develop this.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, though. I think it's another thing that just spits in the face of predestination. Yes.
Yeah. I don't buy that.
No, it makes no freaking sense at all. Ella said yes, lake of fire. So lake of fire is synonymous with hell and Sheol from your perspective. That's interesting. I think that would be an interesting conversation to have. Because biblically, I think I would have a hard time making it make sense that they're all referring to the same thing. Personally, I would struggle to steelman that, I guess is what I'm saying. David said, if God is totally separated from most of his creation, it could be said he lost the battle. I actually completely agree with that. I totally agree with that. And this is where I'm a total heretic. I see that as a potential possibility because of what the Bible says about evil and about Satan's and adversaries and things like that. I think it is a literal battle. I think that's what we're told in all of Scripture, including things that didn't make it into the canon. I think that's what we're told in virtually every other religion on the planet, but specifically those which lie very closely geographically to the text that we see as Scripture. They all tell a very, very, very similar story of a battle. And a battle is not a battle if somebody is guaranteed to win. And I think at one point in history, we brainwashed Christians into believing like the battle is won. The battle is over. Satan's been defeated. I don't know what reality you live in. And I don't know what books you're reading, but it certainly is not the same ones I'm reading. The canonical ones, even. It is just the most incohesive thing on the planet to me. But I'm a heretic, so what are you going to say? Leah or Lee, because I'm ignorant, said a lot of hell NDEs I listen to say that while feeling, quote unquote, some type of torment, there's also a hopeless feeling of being separated from God. Like the separation from their creator is a torment by itself. I would just be curious what that is based on. Like that concept, and I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I would just be curious, like, if you had to describe where that theory comes from, biblically, or is it something that we created? I would be curious. I could probably see how that's developed, though, biblically. But it's very surface level, which doesn't mean it's wrong. Ghost said in English Bibles, hell is used in place of 3 different concepts: Gehenna, lake of fire, Sheol, partitioned soul print storage, and Tartarus, prison for particular beings and ideas. I'm going to leave that up for a minute in case anybody misses it. That's well described. Beatles are going to drive me insane. All right, chapter 53. After this, Leah or Lee responded. NDE, meaning near-death experiences that people experience that have been legally dead for some time. Those NDEs go back thousands of years. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know what that acronym was. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense then. So let me pull out your other one again. Interesting. So then here's a good question for this. Say those people, I mean, you'd have to say those people were not Christian, because otherwise they shouldn't have experienced torment, and they shouldn't have experienced hopeless feelings of being separated from God, right? If they're Christian, those things would not be something they would feel. So then when those people come back to life, did they become Christians or not? And the question, the kind of philosophical question is, if those atheists had a near-death experience, which it sounds like they didn't, it sounds like they had a literal death experience. If they died legally for some amount of time, is that still considered near-death? I don't know. I'm not in that community. Either way, if those atheists died for 2 minutes, experienced what they believe to be hell, torment and separation from a God they don't believe in, come back, did they become Christian? The ones you know about or listen to the podcast about or whatever? Did that convert them? And then the question is, why do they get to see God and get a second chance? Why don't any other atheists get that opportunity? Why don't Christians get that opportunity? Christians don't get confirmation beyond this realm of what the truth is. But if these atheists are dying for 3 minutes and literally feeling what has been described for thousands of years as hell, it's hard to not have that completely convert you with absolute confidence. It sounds pretty unfair to both Christians and atheists. It sounds pretty unfair. I have a hard time theologically with that. What is God doing with that? Why is he doing that? That's very, very interesting, and a whole rabbit hole in and of itself. Truth Unfiltered, YT, which I assume is YouTube, because I'm uncultured, but not that uncultured. First timer here, but I love the Bible studies. Glad to have you. Hope it's your only first time, and we see much more of you. Ghost, can you please expound on Gehenna? Just curious, never heard of it. Ghost, feel free if you want to give a quick synopsis. Otherwise, we can save it for another time. Totally up to you.
Oh, I typed it out.
Oh, beautiful. Okay.
I mean, we could probably do another episode on hell at some point, because that would be a major part of it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So I'll put that on there too for next week. So reincarnation, hell, and then there were a few other that I'll throw in the poll. Hell is an English concept. It wasn't thought of like modern English churches think of it. That's why I brought up the 3 words. Yes. 1,000 times, yes. Just keeping in mind, anybody who's not aware, like the Jewish concept of hell, if I were to explain it in 2 words, is that it didn't exist. And so this was a development that came later. They had a different concept that is, in my opinion, is nothing like the concept of hell that Christians developed in the first couple centuries, and then definitely is nothing like the concept of hell that we fumble around with today. Leah or Lee said, most experiences I heard said they were so scared they did become Christian, But as for the second question you asked, I don't think I could fully answer. Very good question. Question makes me think. Yeah, I just think it's interesting. I'm the cynical guy. So when I hear stories like that, I think that's really cool. And the fact that what were assumed to be atheists become Christian, like anytime that happens, that's very cool. Big supporter of that. But the theological implications are something to consider, something to think about, and would be a really interesting conversation, actually. That's a great topic, which is a good time real quick, because there's a few of you that are new. There's a link to the Discord pinned in the chat and then in the description of the video. Everybody you see on here right now is in Discord. We do a number of these every week. So in Discord, we have an events page, and then you can look at whatever event is happening. We do 4 of them, 5 of them, 4 of them, whatever. We do a handful of them every week. We have 2 different YouTube channels. So all the Bible studies happen on the channel you're watching right now. But then every Tuesday, we do a topic discussion. So when we're talking on here about doing hell or reincarnation, that would be here, not on the channel you're watching right now. So I would go over here and subscribe to @TattooedTheist, and I'll put it in the chat. But every Tuesday, we do a topic that is voted upon. So we did like Christians and mental health, the Gospels, historicity, Marcion, Gnosticism, miracles, stuff like that. Just so you know. But chapter 53, we still got some time. There my eyes saw a deep valley with its mouth open, and all who dwell on the earth and sea and island shall bring gifts and presents and tokens of homage to him. But that deep valley shall not become full, and their hands commit lawless deeds, and everything the righteous work at the sinners devour. The sinners shall be destroyed in front of the face of the Lord of spirits, and they shall be banished from off the face of his earth, and they shall perish forever and ever. For I saw all the angels of punishment abiding there and preparing all the instruments of Satan. I just want to see if it was capitalized, because now it's just running in my brain. But Ghost is probably right, and I'm thinking way too deeply about this. And I asked the angel of peace who went with me, for whom are they preparing these instruments? And he said to me, they prepare these for the kings and the powerful of this earth, that they may with them, that they may with them, they be destroyed. After this, the righteous and elect one shall cause the house of his congregation to appear, and from then on, they shall hinder no more, in the name of the Lord of spirits. And these mountains shall not stand as solid ground before his righteousness, but the hills shall be like springs of water, and the righteous shall have rest from the oppression of the sinners. Chapter 54. Heidi's back. Oh, she gave us the Hebrew. Killer. Lee or Leah. Also, just to clarify, a lot of the hell near-death experiences I heard were atheists, Muslim, Buddhists, etc. So you're pretty much right about that part. I would assume so, right? I would hope so, that you're not, as a Christian, dying and going to hell or experiencing hell and then coming back and being like, was I wrong? Wrong God, perhaps? I don't like how hell is used as a scare tactic, Tampa said. If we're not supposed to fear anything but God, choosing God because I'm afraid of going to hell doesn't make sense to me. I am with you 1,000%. We're going to definitely do hell in the coming weeks because there is so much here. Chapter 54. And I looked and turned to another part of the earth and saw there a deep valley with burning fire. And they brought the kings and the powerful and began to cast them into this deep valley. Savage. And now they're giving you Revelation 6:15, which says, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Back in Enoch, and there my eyes saw how they made their instruments for them, iron chains of immeasurable weight. And I asked the angel of peace who was with me, saying, for whom are these chains being prepared? And he said to me, these are being prepared for the hosts of Azazel, so that they may take them and throw them into the bottom of the pit of hell. And they shall cover their jaws with rough stones, as the Lord of spirits commanded. And Michael and Gabriel and Raphael and Phanuel shall take hold of them on that great day, and throw them into the burning furnace on that day. That the Lord of spirits may take vengeance on them for their unrighteousness and becoming servants to Satan, and for leading astray those who live on the earth. And in those days, punishment will come from the Lord of spirits, and he will open all the storehouses of water above heavens. There's the firmament, and of the fountains which are under the surface of the earth. That's interesting. So straight out of Genesis, y'all, the fountains from beneath the surface, the waters from above, straight out of Genesis. And all the waters shall be come together, flow into or be joined with the waters of heaven above the sky, that which is above heavens is the masculine, and the water which is beneath the earth is the feminine. And they shall destroy all who live on the dry land, and those who live under the ends of heaven. And then there's an author's note, which says, the previous verse refers to Noah's flood. And when they have acknowledged the this is back to Enoch. There was a short note. So like I was saying, it's straight out of Genesis. It's a reflection of Genesis. And when they have acknowledged the unrighteousness which they have done on the earth, by these they shall perish. Chapter 55. Hell is fire for the fallen angels who defiled Yahweh, mixing with the daughters of Adam. So do you think, Heidi, do you think that's when hell became a thing? Was at that point during the origin story? Just out of curiosity. God's son. Hell is not a scare tactic. It's a reality. Get over yourself. Quite rude, if I do say so myself. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Yes, I am. Presbueno? Presbueno? Oh, snap. What are we studying? We are reading the book of Enoch. Kind of. It's the book of giants mixed with the book with Enoch. Parallel. Kind of. So through Enoch, the author of this will interject the book of giants where it would be parallel. Were you reading them side by side in a way that was cohesive and made sense? That's what we're reading. And then Saturday, we're reading something Gnostic. And then Sunday is our good old canon, which we're reading Job right now. Go said, in the garden, when a percentage of crops fail, you can repurpose them to fertilize more crops. Even the waste is useful. Also think of how useful ash is in the garden. So valid. David said, please like this discussion before you forget. Please do. Please do YouTube stuff, because that's how we get you lovely new people like Presbueno. I think I'm nailing that pronunciation, just to be clear. And I don't often feel like that. That's cool. I'm going over Revelation currently. It's good. It just drives me crazy. Presbueno said, I was reading 2 Samuel, and what do you think about the 3 and the mighty warriors? You should take that to Discord. There's a link pinned to the top of the live chat and in the description of the video. I would be interested to read what other people say about that too. So any of the newer people, join the Discord. It is free. It will always be free. Once you're in Discord, anything like that question would be good in the Bible section, and just drop it in there. Because I'd be curious what other people have to say too. So I don't want to hijack by giving my answer, because it would be long. God isn't an Leah or Lee said, what always got me racking my brain is that if the giants had visions, they had come from God. Because aren't they soulless? Nothing. Why would they have those types of visions? It's an interesting question. It's a pretty interesting question, actually. That's something I would also be curious to see how people would answer that. I don't know how I would answer that. It's something I would want to think about a little bit. I think hell is... Oh. I think that hellfire is to... I don't know what you meant to say there. The unforgiven fallen angels. I don't know if it already existed, but it must be eternal fire. Not a purifying fire, I assume is what that said. Brent James said, yeah, like Vampire in Brooklyn, Eddie Murphy. New peeps, go to Discord. There's a link pinned to the top. Oh, hold on, y'all. Okay, chapter 55. We're going to be wrapping up in about 10 minutes. Share the book, Press Bueno. If you go to Discord, share the book. I'd be curious to look at whatever that was by Ryan Pitterson. 55. And after that, the head of days repented and said, I have destroyed all who dwell on the earth to no avail. And he swore by his great name, from now on, I will not do this to all who dwell on the earth again. And I will set a sign in the heaven, the rainbow. And this shall be a covenant of good faith between me and them forever, so long as heaven is above the earth. And this is in accordance with my command. Author's note says the previous verse refers to the rainbow. Nailed it. When I have desired to take hold of them by the hand of the angels on the day of tribulation, anger and pain because of this, I will cause my punishment and anger to abide on them, says God, the Lord of spirits. We do not get God in this text much at all. So that's something to take note of. It says God, the Lord of spirits. 99% of the time, we just have the Lord of spirits. So that's kind of interesting. You mighty kings who live on the earth, you shall have to watch my elect one sit on the throne of glory and judge Azazel and all his associates and all his hosts in the name of the Lord of spirits. And I saw there the host of the angels of punishment going, and they held scourges and chains of iron and bronze. And I asked the angel of peace who went with me, saying, to whom are these who hold the scourges going? And he said to me, each one of the ones they have chosen, and their loved ones, that they may be cast into the chasm of the abyss in the valley. And then that valley shall be filled with ones they chose and their loved ones. And the days of their lives shall be at an end. And the days of their leading astray shall no longer be remembered or counted. In those days, the angels shall return and gather together and throw themselves to the east on the Parthians and Medes. They shall stir up the kings so that a spirit of unrest and disturbance will come on them. And they shall drive them from their thrones, that they may rush out like lions from their lairs. And as hungry wolves among their flocks. There's an author's note here that says the names of certain countries help set the date of the manuscript. Scholars believe, based on the names of the countries mentioned in Enoch, that the book could not have been written prior to 250 BC, since some countries did not exist prior to that date. One could add that the particular part of Enoch is the only section dated, since the book consists of several disjointed parts. Okay, because it was fragmented. The Holy Quran explains the angel, and jinn, and men, ranks, and hosts. I don't know exactly what you mean there. You'd have to clarify. I believe in flat earth and beyond the ice walls, more lands. That was Heidi. And then Adam said the earth is not flat, LOL. We also did a Tuesday live stream on flat earth. I think we actually did two, if I remember. So that would be one to check out as well, I suppose. The Tuesday topic discussions are on this YouTube channel, because we're going to close out here in a second. So anybody who's got something better to do, now is a safe time to leave. We're going to start dialing things down. I smell lovely food being cooked, so I'm going to go eat and then go to sleep. If you're new, if you're not in Discord with us, join Discord. There's a link in the description of the video. There's a link pinned to the top of the live chat that you're in right now. So click the link. It's free. Come hang out. This is the Discord. This is what it looks like. Theology, culture, Bible, conspiracy, spirituality. Conspiracy, put that flat earth in there, girl. The Bible, spirituality, science, entertainment, everything you could possibly imagine, then a bunch of other stuff. The other thing is, if you come hang out in Discord for a while, if we get to know you a bit, then like you've heard Ghost talking here and there, you are welcome to come on and talk. There are no limitations. The more, the merrier. So once we get to know you, you'll go through an interview process after you join, because our group is small and lovely and family, and it's not the right fit for everybody. So we will talk to you a bit. You'll go through an interview, and then if you be a good fit, then you'll stay. But I recommend at least trying. Come hang out. If you've stayed here this long, then you're probably good. I would assume you're probably at least somewhat similar to us if you're into reading something like Enoch. The other thing with Discord is there's an events page. So you'd see tomorrow we're reading another live Bible study on this YouTube channel. There's a link for it right there at 7 p.m. Central Time. This is Central Time. Non-canonical. So we're reading the Gospel of Truth, which is a Valentinian Gnostic gospel. So if you're into this kind of thing, come hang out. And then Sunday, we're reading the book of Job out of the normal canon. And then Tuesday is our live topic discussion. That is not on this YouTube channel. So you need to go to youtube.com/tattootheist. That's my personal YouTube channel. It's been around for a long time. Every Tuesday, we have that discussion there, and it's a little bit more unhinged. It's a little bit more open. Whatever happens, happens. The stuff on this one is pretty neat and clean, and we try to stay, at least for the most part, on topic. But join Discord. Discord's good. The people there are good. These people are good. Much better than I. Flat Earth, Mark S. What happened? How did somebody say Flat Earth and now Flat Earth username is here? The Bible is a Flat Earth book through and through. I think that's an interesting way to describe the Bible. I suppose you could make a case for Flat Earth with the Bible. Not with a lot, but there are certainly things in there. But to say it's a Flat Earth book, I don't know what you mean by that, I guess. You'd have to clarify. The Bible is a book of deity. The Bible is absolutely a flat book, Ghost said. Jesus. Unless you have a scroll. Yeah, that's kind of the irony, though, right? Is it actually wasn't flat. The Bible was literally not flat until relatively recently. That's hilarious. That's so funny. Ruth said, I love our little family here. I do too. I don't know what I would do if we got banned from Discord or something. I don't know why we ever would. We're very tame. But if something were to happen to Discord, it would impact my life in a very negative way. We have a very good, pretty little thing going here. Mikkel said, good evening, fellas. Hey, Heidi. Hey, Mikkel. Just reread Genesis. Water always finds level. Yeah, we've done videos on Flat Earth. I'm not arguing with you. I just think that to say it's a Flat Earth book, I think is a little bit, as the kids would say, extra. I think you can make a case for Flat Earth using the Bible. I've gone through all this. Like, I'm not arguing with you at all. It's there. I see where they're coming from. The Flat Earth people. I see where they're coming from. I just think maybe the way you worded it is what I took issue with. That it's a Flat Earth book. I think it mentions a potential interpretation of a Flat Earth. But I think it's a book about God, is what it is. I think then it insinuates to other things, or I think we exegete certain things from the book and then kind of make theories from them. The Bible is a flat book, Mikkel reiterated. We did miss you, Mikkel. Esmo said there is one verse in Psalms that refers to the dun dun dun, and then it got cut off. And I don't see a follow-up. So S Mill, are you talking about the flat earth? There it is. There is one verse in Psalms that has a circle of the earth, and circles are flat. But that's a stretch to use. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I don't have an opinion about the earth thing, about the flat versus the globe. We've done, like I said, if you go to youtube.com/tattootheist, or if you go in the search bar, search flat earth tattooed theist. And I think we did 2 Tuesday episodes on it, live streams, where we spent at least 2 hours talking about the flat earth. So we've done this. I just don't have an opinion. I genuinely just don't. It's not something I care about at all. But I find all the theories very interesting. Over 200 passages. If you have a list of that, I would genuinely like to see it. I'd be very interested to go through 200. And I'm not at all being sarcastic. I am this person. If you provide me 200 passages from the Bible about flat earth, I am the guy that would enjoy going through 200 verses about that you believe refer to a flat earth. Because on its face, I would disagree. And again, as someone with no dog in the fight, because I genuinely don't care. Find out it's globe, find out it's flat, changes my life zero. So I'd be very curious to go through those if you happen to have a list in a Word document or something. A great place to put it would be in Discord. See how I did that? If you have a list and you choose to join Discord, you could put it in the Bible section and then tag me, and I would go through it. And maybe I'll do a whole video about it, because it would probably be kind of interesting. If it were spinning tilted, all right, we're not going down the, we're gonna dial this down, and I'm gonna get out here and go eat. We can do another flat earth episode too. All right, we're ending. I will post a poll as soon as I get off of here while I stuff my face from lovely dinner that my wife made. While I do that, I will create the poll for next week, next Tuesday. On that poll, I will at least put reincarnation and what is hell. I might put flat earth on it. I'm undecided, but maybe. I'll put flat earth on it. Reincarnation, what is hell, and flat earth. And then I'll put 1 or 2 other topic options on the poll. These streams, again, are held on Tuesday. They are not on this YouTube channel. You have to go to Tattooed Theist. It is my social media everywhere across all of the internet. It's my personal YouTube. So that's where these conversations will be. This coming Tuesday, it will be one of those things I said at 7 p.m. Central Time. But if you join Discord, there's an events page where you can see that and not lose track. There's Tuesday, February 11th, 7 p.m. Central Time. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good God. All right. I love you guys. Please, before do all the YouTube stuff. Do all the YouTube stuff. When I close out the video, wait 2 seconds. For the love of God, wait 2 seconds. And then leave a regular comment. I don't care if you put a period and hit submit. Just do something. Do something. Help us out. I love you guys. I'm going to go eat. We'll see you in Discord. Good night. Ghosts, see you later. God.